Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Here I'm wishing you an early Merry Christmas. So welcome to my new top 5 series where we'll be looking at various fun and interesting content. So for this first top 5 video, we'll be checking out the top 5 normal Awaken heroes who deserve a remake. So as you know, there are no more normal heroes left in the game to be released, and KR went on many months of hero remakes and even unawakened heroes got remade. So which leads me to wonder which heroes should be prioritized first for a remake. So actually I picked Awaken normal heroes because they are fairly easy to get but not necessarily easy to build, and the point is to make them useful enough to be used. Take note, if you're an endgame player, however, you may not need these heroes, but for mid-tier players and newer players, they can still be useful. So ultimately the goal is to allow these players to be able to still get a good amount of resource, and progress even better in the game. So before I begin, I understand there'll be 2 points of contention. First point is that people may disagree to the skills and specializations which I recommend, but of course I'm really just trying to enhance what is already existing in our game, where new players can easily pick up and help them get through the start of the game in an easier way. And people may also argue that having remake of characters could cause a greater drain in resources and player gap. But if you think about it in the long run, hero remakes are actually more beneficial because the longer you play the game, the more possible that you will gain access to all these normal heroes compared to newer special heroes that NM will design, which are mainly for PvP, that will cause a bigger drain, I feel. Okay, so before we begin, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more of such content. This top 5 video is definitely not going to be the last. So let's check out our top 5 normal Awaken heroes. So in 5th place we have Castle Rush DPS Jupe, but she currently is overtaken by Spina and Taka. Spina because Spina has a 6-turn physical immunity, and since all Castle Rush heroes are physical, so this makes Spina highly suitable. Versus Jupe, whereby we actually need to activate her Awaken skill to even have a 4-turn immunity only. Okay, so I feel that Jupe should get a 6-turn physical immunity as well if she's going to still be used for a Castle Rush DPS. However, I do feel that for this remake, we're going to take it up another level. I feel that Jupe should become the specialized DPS against Demon Pascal. Okay, so let's take a look at her passive, Eyes of a Hawk. So for currently, she boosts physical attack by 80%, and she also increases her lethal rate for all her allies by 50%. So I think this is great, she should keep this. However, she should also increase and boost lethal damage by 60% for 10 times. Okay, and against Demon Pascal, she will increase lethal damage by 100% 20 times. Okay, so why 60% as a base without specialization? And that's because this will help to alleviate new players' pressure on maxing out Rachel, who will give the 80% buff. Without Rachel's exclusive item, Rachel will only buff 50% increase in lethal damage. So Jupe will actually be superior in that aspect. Okay, and also this will lessen the pressure for the Fallout Jewel requirement, which I think new players may find it hard to get, but of course they may get selected along the way. So okay, this will be her passive, what I recommend. So let's move on to the first skill, her top skill. For sniping stance, she currently greatly increases lethal and critical rate, and also turns into snipe. Okay, so sniping stance is actually great. I feel that she should keep this, and of course ensure massive boost in lethal and critical rate. Okay, and in Pascal, I would add on that upon using sniping stance, she will get critical hit for all her attacks. Okay, so this will actually allow you to give her speed attack world boss weapons, so that she can actually have the highest speed on your team, and this will boost her awakening bar quickly. And why would I talk about awakening bar? You will find out later. So let's move on to the skills. Okay, let's just take a look at her active skills. So multi-shot and snipe actually both do 300% on one enemy, and both will ignore defense. Okay, 300% is super low. Okay, Taka deals 1500%, but of course he is a special hero. Snipper himself can deal about 600 and 900%. Spina herself can do about 1000%. So 300% is super pathetic. Okay, so I feel that for both her active skills, multi-shot and snipe, she should be able to inflict about 700 to 800% for each attack. Okay, so this looks pretty empty. Okay, if you just look at her multi-shot and snipe, this looks pretty empty. So this is where her Awaken skill comes in that I want to suggest. So for Awaken skill, Turbulence Serenity, she should get a complete overhaul. Okay, I want to make her super interesting. So this is my take. First, it becomes an Awaken passive. Okay, so her current exclusive item, which boosts physical attack to 200% in Castle Rush, will be changed to boost physical attack 200% in Demon Pascal. So something similar to Snipper's boost for Iron Devourer. Okay. Furthermore, once she uses her Awaken passive, once that is activated, her active skills will gain 2 different abilities each, and of course this is not restricted to Demon Pascal actually. So these are gonna be part of her active skills. Okay. So for multi-shot, it actually recovers all allies with 30% of her physical attack. Okay, she's an elf. Give her some healing somehow, I don't know, whatever. Okay, so in Demon Pascal, this is going to be very useful because when the immunity is going to be in your favor and he reduces your team's HP to 1, you can actually use Jupe's multi-shot to heal your team, and you don't have to waste a skill using Lina. Okay, and you can actually use Jupe to get back your health and also deal damage at the same time. And do note that because she recovers allies by 30% of her physical attack, and her physical attack is going to be amplified by 200%. Okay, no, her physical amplification is going to increase to 200%. So this is going to mean that she's going to heal a lot. Okay, so she's going to be very good in that aspect. Secondly, her snipe is gonna gain the extra skill to reset the cooldown of multi-shot. So this guarantees you that multi-shot can be used. Okay, and this is similar to what Taka and Spina themselves have. One skill to reset the other skill. Okay, so this is gonna be very useful. So I think her exclusive item can officially be changed, and of course at level 50 stage 3 she should get an increased awakening gauge charge speed kind of exclusive item. Okay, so when is it gonna be a good time for her to remake? I think in my case I would say whenever Demon Pascal season comes along, or if really she wants to still be stuck in Castle Rush, then whenever there's a Castle Rush remake. But I strongly feel that what I'm proposing here is really gonna be really helpful against Demon Pascal. And who can she potentially replace? She will actually replace Taka as the DPS. Okay, she will also replace the need for Eileen, because Eileen is really just there to serve for her passive. Okay, so if the DPS herself as Jupe herself actually can buff up to 200%, then you don't need Eileen, and maybe you can even put in Amelia, who will provide the debuff immunity against your poison. Okay, so this will help to reduce the need for the accessories. Okay, so that is my take on Jupe. Let's find out who is at number 4. So in 4th place we have Lee. Lee is one of the most early normal Awaken heroes to be released like Jupe, and he has one of the most unique skill sets in the whole game, which I love so much, but is currently now reduced to being wasted skills, which was so amazing in the past when Celestial Tower wasn't smart yet. Okay, so maybe in future Celestial Tower and smart mode levels, I feel that he could be a cheaper platin. So let's look at his passive. Passive wise, he increases counter rate, becomes immune to damage for 3 turns, and also immune to debuff for 3 times. Okay, so I feel that all these all these can be kept, and also add on this line about increasing damage dealt to universal heroes by 50% for all allies, and in smart mode this becomes 70%. Okay, so he actually still provides a lesser debuff than Platine, but however he is way easier to get and probably more specialized for what he's intended to do. Okay, so let's look at his first skill, which is Nirvana Strike. This is his AoE skill. Basically, it currently only inflicts 100% physical damage and also inflicts damage equal to 30% of the target's max HP. So what I propose is that this damage to be buffed. Basically, he will do 80% 2 times. Okay, he will also reduce buff duration by 2 turns and decrease hit shield buffs by 2 hits. Okay, so this is not in smart mode. In smart mode, he reduces buff duration by 3 turns and also decreases hit shield buff by 3. So with just this one skill, this AoE skill, he's going to reduce 5 shields from the opponent team, and this is equivalent to Ace's Blossom Strike. Okay, so if getting rid of shields is your problem, then maybe this Lee would be good. Let's move on to his famous cleansing maneuver, which converts enemy HP to 1. Okay, so this is his very probably one of his most famous skills. He was the first hero to have it. Okay, however, in smart mode this totally doesn't work, and hence I would suggest this smart mode option. So it gains a priority effect, which is very recent, and we know this for Sylvester. Priority effect allows the HP of the enemy with the highest defense to be reduced by 35% first. Okay, then Lee will go on to proceed and inflict 250% physical damage and also remove all buffs from the enemy. Okay, so this is a new mechanic that I'm talking about. That means reducing HP by percent instead of by amount. Okay, so you may think that if you reduce the HP by percent, he will never be able to kill the enemy, and that is why I've given him this additional inflict 250% physical damage, so that in this skill he can still punch with some damage. Okay, so lastly, his Awaken skill, which is superb, his avatar summoning. Okay, basically in the current one, when he summons the avatar, for 6 turns he will occupy 1 space and also gain all the abilities of Lee. So there's 2 Lees on the field. So what I'm proposing now is that this to be buffed, not even in smart mode, overall to be buffed. Okay, he will still summon the avatar. When the avatar has been summoned, and basically when he activates his Awaken skill, he will be providing his whole team with cooldown immunity. Okay, currently cooldown immunity is the only cooldown immunity is only found on Mao Song. Okay, and Lee will be the alternative, and Lee will be a stronger alternative to be used in smart mode, because in smart mode, Tartarus especially, you may face enemies such as Chancellor and Nox, and that is when his passive, whereby you can do 70% more damage on these heroes, is gonna pair up very nicely for you, instead of using a Mao Song, which you probably may not even equip that well and he may die. Okay, so also he will gain a lot of defense. Basically, for 1 hit he will only receive 30%, will not exceed 30% of his max HP. Okay, and he becomes agile. Okay, so all this is when his avatar is summoned. He also gains a lot of buff, and the summoned avatar is also very strong. So you have 2 very strong characters that can reduce HP, which can reduce turn, hit shield, which can reduce buff duration, all on the field. So this is gonna be very good. Okay, so that is basically it for Lee. His exclusive item wise, I feel that you can keep this. I mean, they can keep this. Using Nirvana Strike, he will reset the cooldown for cleansing maneuver, which means you can constantly try to bite away 35% of the strongest defense enemy each time. Okay, And so basically, when should he be remade and released? When new smart mode flaws come about, I'm sure they'll be coming up with more smart mode flaws. And who can he possibly replace? I would say Platine and Mao Song, and also the need for cooldown immunity jewels on certain flaws. Okay, so this is gonna be a very helpful hero for Celestial Tower smart mode. Yeah, all in that aspect. Okay, so with that, let's move on to number 3. Coming in at number 3 is Sylvia. So I think she is the latest Awaken hero to be on this roster, but she's currently completely outclassed by single target DPS, Spina and Taka. So even though she has a very useful multi-target skill for Guild Dungeon, but for single target skills they are still much stronger and much faster to be used in the Guild Dungeon. So Sylvia lost the utility ever since Spina came out. Okay, so let's just take a look at her passive. Very long passive. Increased lethal rate of caster, increased accuracy rate of caster, okay. Becomes immune to debuffs regarding physical attack, magic attack damage, okay. And in Guild Dungeon, she amplifies her magic attack by 100% and also stacks on with other magical attack increase buffs. And passive wise, I think she is actually very fine. Okay, maybe what I would suggest is to amp up her Guild Dungeon buff, okay, to 200%, and also additionally increase her damage output for all 3 target attacks. Okay, I would say, I'm not sure, I'm just giving a range here by 100 to 200%. Okay, why do I say this? Is because multi-targets are not gonna be supported by Ares. Okay, and there's no, currently I think, not any hero in the game that specifically supports 3 target attacks. Okay, so I would think that Sylvia, because she needs to be a very good DPS on her own, she will have a self buff of 3 target attacks by 100 to 200%. And you know, in fact, this can even be in her regular passive, not even in Guild Dungeon. So for Guild Dungeon, basically really just amp it up by 200%. Okay, next we'll move on to her first skill, which is Weakening Curse, and this is her 3 target skill, okay, which is supposedly very useful in Guild Dungeon. But output wise, just take a look at the output. It's so low. 120% 2 times, 240% on 3 enemies. Decreased buff duration. Decreased buff duration is great, okay, but I think again they should amp up the damage for her, okay, to 250%, so that she'll inflict 500% magic damage on 3 enemies. Decreased buff duration, and in Guild Dungeon mode specifically, also do piercing. Okay, because piercing is such an important skill that in Guild Dungeon, that you know, sometimes that is why the reliance on Taka is so strong now, because Taka is the only DPS apart from Dylan's that has piercing. And I think in Guild Dungeon maps where there are several heroes with immunities, I think that is where Sylvia can come in, because a single hero with a multi-target piercing skill is going to save you the resource, okay, to invest. I mean, it's gonna save you the time to use Taka first and then to use Spina, or vice versa, in that kind of strategy planning. Okay, so piercing on a 3 target attack, and that is buffed as well. Okay, so it's gonna be pretty strong, I would imagine. Next, we'll come to her second skill, which is her single target skill. His Spiritual Breath basically inflicts 200% on one enemy 2 times, which is 400% ignore defense, and in Guild Dungeon this deals additional 300%. Okay, so this is a single target skill. So as I always have in mind, single target skill, if she's going to become a very good DPS, she needs to be on par with Spina, okay, but maybe not as strong as Spina, because Spina is super specialized in single target. So I would suggest that in Guild Dungeon, she will do 500% magic attack, additional damage, which means a total of 900%. So this is still slightly lower than Spina, but you know, because of her utility in the multi-target aspect, people may actually consider using Sylvia because the offset is not too much. Okay, so that will be really good as well, because that will give her more utility. Lastly, for her Awaken skill, currently inflicts 120% on 3 enemies 3 times, ignore defense. I would suggest that she keep this, or rather in Guild Dungeon mode it is buffed. Okay, basically inflicts 200% magic damage on 3 enemies 3 times. Okay, ignore defense, piercing, and upon using her Awaken skill, she gains the ability to attack 3 enemies with each basic attack. In other words, she's able to utilize more of her self buff of 3 target attacks, even in her basic attack. Okay, so this will further make her a great DPS that can do more damage to the units in Guild Dungeon. Okay, so this is actually my take on Sylvia. With her exclusive item can be kept. Okay, Dark Necromancy, which is her Awaken skill, resets all cooldown for herself. That is going to be very good. And when is it a good time to release her again? I would say when Guild Dungeon undergoes some upgrades, or you know, some changes in the enemy information. Okay, and she can obviously potentially replace Spina on maps, or Taka actually, on maps with multiple targets that need to be dealt with as soon as possible. Okay, so that is my take on Sylvia. Let's move on to number 2. So in second place we have Chloe, our very cute and adorable support hero for PvP last year. She had quite a time back then when Magic Meta was still hot. However, she was conveniently replaced by Amelia and now finds no spot in any support role at all. And this is because if you look at her passive, she mainly supports magic teams. So I think she can be remade, definitely, and her HP shield is actually very useful across different modes. So we have Lina in Castle Rush, Hayoung in Guild Raid, so why not put her in Smart Mode? I think Smart Mode support will be really awesome. And why should she become a PvE hero? And this is because support heroes really excel in PvE when you are able to control them. Okay, so passive wise, she has 4-turn immunity, 4-time immunity, and also she increases counter rate for herself and magic allies, and she also gives magic allies and herself 3-time debuff immunity. So I'm gonna just go ahead and say scrap all the magic ally passive. Okay, just scrap it. This should be her new passive. Give her debuff resistance increase by 70%. This is similar to Lina. Okay, for one hit she will not take damage more than 30% of her HP. This gives her bulk because as a support hero she needs bulk besides beyond the immunities. And then she is gonna help to buff your team's physical attack and magic attack by 50%. Now I know that this is similar to both Soy and Velika, but however the key here is in Smart Mode she increases this to 80%. Okay, so this actually relieves the pressure of new players who don't have an Awaken Eileen, and in fact even for veterans. Okay, having that Awaken Eileen there sometimes just feels to me like you're just putting her there for the physical buff to 100%, but beyond that she's really not gonna be useful. Okay, so I'm gonna design Chloe such that she's gonna be useful in most of her skills, in fact all her skills, instead of just having a passive to be stuck there. Okay, I think heroes should have this kind of utility. So moving on to her first skill, Kitty Dance. So I'm gonna just build on Kitty Dance's concept. It is a really cute skill, okay? So currently it inflicts 50% magic damage 2 times, decrease counter rate and stuns. So as we know, decreasing counter rate and stun is not gonna really work in smart mode because the enemies have a very high already complete immunity to debuff or something like that, okay? So to counter that, we're gonna give Kitty Dance buff. We're gonna buff Kitty Dance because when the Kitty dances, your opponents gonna lose all their defenses. They're gonna get their block nullified, okay, for 2 turns. And also, your team watching the Kitty dance is gonna feel so refreshed and all their debuffs are gonna be gone. So this Kitty dance, new Kitty dance is going to remove all the debuff on your allies. How great is that? Okay. So next we're gonna have cleansing time. So this is a time concept skill. So currently it inflicts 40% 3 times, critical will be applied, and also increases enemy skill cooldown by 20 seconds. And as we know, increasing skill cooldown doesn't work in smart mode. Okay, so I'm gonna just revamp this, add on new things for this skill. Okay, in smart mode, she's also going to have something similar to the time concept, whereby she will decrease all enemies buff duration by 2 turns, okay, cleanse all the buff away, and she will also help to decrease your team's cooldown by 20 seconds when you use this skill. So very useful skill. Basically it helps to balance the buffs on the opponent's side and also your skills. So very good skill to have, to use. Finally, her Awaken skill, which I talked about being very unique. Basically, it's gonna get a buff. She's gonna give you 4 times Void Shield instead of 3 currently. And also provide a 3000 damage HP shield instead of 1000. Okay. Furthermore, it will help to charge your allies' awakening gauge significantly faster, because I mean, after you ate a fancy meal, of course you feel very good and your awaken charge is gonna go up. Basically, that's the idea. Okay. So for her exclusive item, I believe she can keep this. It will really give a lot of additional HP to play around with for your team, especially in higher levels of smart mode in future. Maybe they will definitely release tougher flaws, so this will come in very handy if you have the exclusive item for her, but otherwise I don't think it will be necessary. Okay, so when is a good time for her to be released, remade? Newer and higher tougher smart mode flaws, okay, who deal with enemies who deal a lot more damage, and she has the potential to replace Eileen on flaws that you do not need fixed damage to get rid of certain, earth elements or etc. Okay, so basically she is an all-round very good support hero for your smart mode runs. Okay, so with that, we're gonna move on to the final hero of the roster. Are you guys eager to see who the hero is? Let's find out. So, did you guess that Sebastian will definitely be in this roster? I think it's really no surprise, because Sebastian, he was completely unused even though he's meant to be the Tartarus DPS. Okay, and I do see that it may be quite hard for him to make a comeback with Bidam's insane damage output in smart mode itself. But before we go into Sebastian's skills, let us just think about Tartarus for a while. What do you think about the obstacles you face in Tartarus? Okay, so basically we have light elements that dodge, we have earth elements that can only be killed with fixed damage. Okay, we have dark elements that enrage their allies for about 6 turns so far, the greatest, or even 8, I'm not sure. And then we have teams that have full block. And then we have Atalanta, she can be quite annoying. And then we have units with many void shields. Okay, so all these are going to be very common obstacles you will face in Tartarus. Okay, so let us take a look at Sebastian's skills and how we can remake him. For his passive, he has 4 void shields and decreased defense of all enemies by 50%. Okay, this is really common, and in fact there are so many heroes that can do better. such as Ace. Ace is the best at decreasing defense, okay? Also, in Tartarus, he gains 8 Void Shields, which I think that is fine. But to improve on this, okay, for him to be a real Tartarus DPS, I'm gonna give him this passive. Basically, he offsets defense for all skills, okay? And offsetting defense means that the higher the opponent defense, the more damage you will do. So this will really give him that first criteria, huge damage output to be a DPS. So in Tartarus, he will gain lethal rate by 100%. He will also increase his allies' accuracy rate. Okay, so this actually saves you one slot that you don't have to put Ryan there. Instead, you can use Sebastian, who will also help to increase the accuracy rate for your whole team, and then you are able to deal with light elements much easily. Okay, so let's take a look at his only skill. For his skill, he currently inflicts 60% magic damage on all enemies 2 times, pierces, and in Tartarus, increase physical and magic attack for his allies by 200% 4 times. Okay, so if you just look at his output, how pathetic is that? 120% in total with piercing. No guaranteed crit, no ignore defense. Okay, I'm gonna buff his damage output, okay, but to 600 in the form of 300% 2 times. It will still pierce, and it will also decrease hit shield bars by 2. Okay, so this is his base. In Tartarus, he is going to still amplify physical and magic attack for all allies by 200% 4 times. Okay, in addition to that, he is going to be able to deal 2,500 fixed damage 2 times. So this in total is going to be 5,000 fixed damage. So coupled with another hero's fixed damage, maybe you have Chris on the team, which is very common in Tartarus. Chris does about 2,000. Total linked to about 7,000 fixed damage. This should be able to kill the earth element. Okay, so this is my intention of additionally putting fixed damage, a huge ton of fixed damage for him in Tartarus only. Next and lastly is his Awaken Skill. Currently, he inflicts 50% magic damage on all enemies 3 times, increases damage by 300% for each empty enemy slot, and also burns. Okay, so again, the damage output. Firstly, it has a terrible name, research outcome, really. Okay, and it's only 150%, even though there's an increase in damage by 300% for each fallen hero, but this is only a one-time use. So my revamped Awaken Skill, okay, is to buff the damage output. Inflicts 150, so increase by 100%. Inflicts 150 magic damage on all enemies 3 times. Keep the increased damage by 300% skill a characteristic. And also, in addition, in smart mode, this Awaken Skill will pierce again, so that you will not get walled by Atalanta at all. Furthermore, it resets. Okay, it will reset upon use, so he technically has 2 skills to be used in Tartarus. Okay, so 2 piercing 5-man AoE with a lot of damage output that can be used. So this will really ease the Tartarus run, I feel. Okay, so for his exclusive item, I would suggest keeping, because having that reduced enemy buff duration by 3 turns on his normal single skill is going to be very useful. This will help with all the dark elements, getting rid of the enraged buff. Okay, so when is a good time? Honestly, I think any time is a good time for him to be remade. He has been neglected and forgotten for so long. Yeah, so I think his remake can be any time. Potential to replace, he definitely has the potential to replace the DPS in smart mode. or Tartarus, which is Bidam and Teo, and furthermore he can save you a slot because of his increased accuracy, so he will replace Ryan in this case as well. Okay, so that is all I have for my video. These are the top 5 heroes that I really wish to see get a remake to become more useful and more usable in our PvE content. And I think basically everything that I recommended here will really push for that. And of course, if you guys have any hero that you would love to see get remade, do leave them in the comments below. Even if you can come up with a potential skill change, also just leave that in the comments below. I would love to hear what heroes you would like to see remade. Okay, so if you enjoyed this video, do give it a like and do subscribe to my channel for more of such content. I really had a lot of fun making this video and I hope to make more for you guys, so do stay tuned for it and I'll see you next time. Thank you.